I want to be a star. What if your child comes and tells you, Mommy, Daddy, I want to be a YouTube star. I want to be in that advert. I want to be on a billboard. What are you going to do? Today's topic is about raising a child star. We are going to equip you with tools that are going to help you, in how to raise your child star to be the best that they can be. And in studio today, we have a psychologist. His name is Elmad Regan, who's going to share insights with us on how to raise a child star. Mr. Regan.
Yes.
A pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm just thinking to myself, way back when, I never would have thought about telling my mother, I want to become a star. We didn't even know what it means to be a star.
Yes.
Because as children, our role was wake up, go to school, finish school, primary, go to high school, college,
Yes.
look for work, be productive. End of story.
Yeah.
But things have changed.
Things have changed.
Things have really changed. A friend of mine told me the other day, my daughter wants to be on YouTube. And I know even as a child psychologist, or just as a psychologist, you get a lot of that.
Yeah.
Parents coming to you to share with you that my child wants to do all these things, but how do I nurture them to be the best that they can be and then give them some semblance of normalcy? But let's start, Emma, with what are your thoughts on child stars? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. So thanks again for having me. So child stars, I think it's important first of all we get to identify and understand what child stardom, so to speak, is or what it means. So ideally these are kids, young kids or children who have shown special giftings or abilities from a very young age. Say it could be music, could be singing, could be sports, athletics, from a very young age. And consequently that means that they'll draw a huge following or a huge fan base, and that automatically makes them celebrities or stars, so to speak. And so with all these, celebrity status, if not handled well, as you just mentioned, then the kids are likely to falter along the way. And so I think it's very important as parents and caregivers, guardians, to support kids when they identify that this is my gifting, this is my area of talent or area of passion, so that they can grow with it.
So number one, as parents, Regan, we need to then accept that some of our kids are extra gifted.
Yes.
Because, all of us as parents, as moms and dads, we feel our kids are very, very special.
Yes.
But then we need to admit that some of our kids are a bit extra special in one way or another.
Very true.
So we need to nurture that talent
I agree.
in one way or another.
Yes. Yeah.
What if you're a parent who you're not into that kind of space and you're feeling that need to suppress what this child is becoming?
Yeah, the worst you can do actually to such a child or to any child for that reason is to suppress it. Because as Albert Einstein tells us, all of us are geniuses. But if you want to judge the genius of a fish by its ability to climb a tree, then to live its whole life thinking it's very stupid. And so as a parent, if you want to suppress these giftings that your child has, you are doing disservice to that child and consequently to other children and even to yourself as a parent.
So you shouldn't suppress it?
You shouldn't suppress it. The best you can do is nurture that talent, that gifting from a young age.
How about the parents who then feel their kids are a bit talented in something, but you find the parent more immersed in this activity than the child? I think a case in point, I would look at something like pageantry. I don't know if you've gone to any kids pageant, and sometimes you see the level of passion in a parent in pushing that child until you feel sorry for the child because the child has no interest at all.
Yeah, that's also another red flag from the parent side, because they need to understand and get to know what does my child like, what don't they like. In as much as they have this special gifting, how much or rather what's the level of involvement that I should have with my child. And you see, I borrow this largely from one Erik Erikson, who was a social psychologist. He came up with a very interesting theory on social psychosocial stages in life. And I only focus on the first four. He gave 8, but the first four.
The first four.
Yeah, so the first one is about trust versus mistrust, which basically begins between the ages of 0 to 1 year.
Right.
And in this age, the children seek to trust parents or their caregivers around them. And so in this stage, it's more or less bonding with the child, being with the child. Now, if the parent is absent at that moment, then later in life, when this child starts showing traits of stardom or celebrities kind of things, they want to be masked again. It's going to be difficult because they need to identify trust with this child when they were young.
Small.
Yeah. Then the second stage is that of autonomy versus shame or doubt. And see, this is more or less like the child age. The kid will hold a cup in their hands, they want to drop it. What's going to happen if I drop the cup? So again, if the parent is absent here on not getting the child as they should, when they attain this level of celebrity or stardom, so to speak, they're going to falter if at all the parent was not careful.
Right.
And that leads us again to now the third stage, which is on industry versus initiative.
Industry versus initiative.
Yes. And in this age, the child wants now to start exploring and comparing themselves to other children with regard to their special giftings and their talents. So if these parents want to reinforce or rather be impulsive of their children when they have this special gifting, it becomes difficult because they didn't train them on how to be, say, industrious and how to initiate on themselves.
There you go.
Yes, as to what they wish to do or partake.
Okay.
Yeah.
So back to the question of how we started today's conversation. A child comes to you, or your own child, Regan, comes and tells you, Daddy, I want to be a star.
Yeah.
How do you prepare your child for stardom?
Yeah, so there are various things that as a parent you should look out for. Of course, starting with the very basic signs. And you see, it may take time for some kids to tell you that I want to be a star, I want to be a celebrity. But most importantly, look out for the signs. Does this child have some special, abilities?
Yeah.
Say, can they sing at a very, interesting or,
Like a Whitney at 4 years.
Exactly, so to speak. Can they write? Can they read relatively better than their peers? And you see, them telling you that I want to be this is as a result of what they've identified themselves. So you, as a parent, should be very, very careful to notice these simple signs. So first things first, when they come to you and tell you they want to be a star, congratulate them for that. Problem is, most parents, they'll tell, when the kids tell them I want to be this, they'll be like, oh, come on, you can't do that. That's for that class of people. That's for this kind of people. Or what makes you think you're better than this person or that person? So as a first step as a parent, appreciate.
Congratulate the child.
Congratulate them, exactly.
So don't tell them this will not make you money. Whatever you want to do has no future.
Exactly. Don't brush it off. I remember there's this joke about this kid who told the dad, when I grow up, I want to be a driver. And
When I grow up, I want to be... Wait, what kind of driver?
He said he wanted to be a driver, and the dad didn't even finish the whole story. He didn't hear the end of it. And the dad reprimanded him. But truth is, the child wanted to be a Formula One race car driver.
Don't tell me this ended up being Lewis Hamilton.
Well, it's not Lewis.
Okay.
So you see, again, appreciate the child
Okay.
for identifying that they want to be that
Okay.
and motivate them through that. As a matter of fact, now start reinforcing the concept of what they want to be. If it means taking them out to what they love, say
To
they love
experience
music,
what
to
they
experience
like.
that
Exactly.
which they like, it reinforces the concept of what they want to be even more easily. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Let's move to, is there any positive effect of stardom? Is there anything positive apart from the money? Is there any other positive effect you can think of? No, money has both sides.
Yes.
But what you can share with us at this point, Mr. Regan, if you can think of any positive, things that come out of a child wanting to be a star.
Yes. Yeah, so there is actually a very, very interesting positive effect. And for me, the best one is when a kid is a star or is in stardom, that greatly impacts their mental prowess.
Really?
That means their mental faculties are open to greater heights. That's why, if you look at these kids who are in celebrity or stardom, you look at even their social life and academic lives, they are good. Because by them being exposed to what they love doing as a profession, so to speak, quote unquote, gives them even much impetus to perform better in their academic lives. So the major positive here for them is that mental fortitude that they have. Because they experience new people, new places, new events, and consequently, their brain is expanded to greater limits.
So it gives them more impetus to also want to perform well in their studies, for example.
Exactly, because they're like, I perform so well in the social space,
Why
so
would
why
I
not perform in my academics? Yeah.
Interesting. Because I would have thought it's the other way around because, you're thinking this will take away your child from the academics. So it's not always the case. It's how you manage it.
Yeah.
It's how you manage
The management, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about the negative effects of stardom, especially for children?
Yeah, so the negative effect could come as a result of the child now taking too much time with their stardom or whatever they're doing in their stardom life, so to speak.
Right.
And this means, therefore, that the child will even have very few friends and at times none.
So it can be very lonely.
It can be very lonely, a journey. And that means they have to always be on the lookout or on guard that, I have this Instagram page, I have this Facebook page, I have this Twitter page.
Right.
Without a manager for that reason, the child will end up trying to seek how to balance their social life and their personal life. So if that is not managed again, then it becomes a bit detrimental to the child. And in some cases, it can even lead to stress, depression, and God forbid, even suicide.
God forbid.
Yeah.
Do you have cases, especially as a psychologist, where you've seen kids that they're so detrimentally affected by social media? Of course, this is in the space of just childhood because, I mean, social media affects all of us.
Yes.
I can imagine the effect on a child, then a child star who's become dependent on likes and follows and the number of hits on their video or whatever they're doing
Yes.
for that to affirm them, to validate them. If that becomes, you know, the pointer of how they get affirmed, how dangerous can that be?
That can be very dangerous because they understand that they have this special gifting, this special talent that they can use to their benefit. And so that means they want to attach their status to what other people think should be the level of a celebrity.
That is dangerous.
And so that means going out to great extents. That means that I can only eat, for example, in certain joints. I can only go out with certain people. I can only live in such a place or that
because of my status.
Exactly. And so again, the concept of management, if the parent is not well involved or the caregiver is not well involved in this process, then the child will end up missing out a great deal in their personal and social lives as well. Yeah.
You know, I just wonder, how is it then that, you know, people like the late Michael Jackson and other superstars, a lot of them,
Yes.
in later interviews, they say they missed out so much on their childhood. How do you balance as a parent, giving your child a semblance of a normal life and them navigating that world of superstardom? How
Yes.
do you navigate that or help your child navigate that as a parent?
Yeah, so the balance can be tricky if the parent is not careful to, first of all, admit and accept that my child has this gifting or this special ability. And so that consequently means that as a parent, one, you should treat your child like any other child, regardless of their special gifting.
So even in the home, treat them
Yes.
like everybody else.
Yes. If it means them doing duties or house chores, let them do it like any other child. Because the moment you start exempting them from this normal, house chores or duties, they'll feel this sort of, ego in them and start, behaving wayward. So as a parent, stamp your foot down and understand that we're going to do things normal. We're going to go to school like any other kid. And if they've done a mistake, reprimand them if you need to, punish them if you need to, but of course with love and care. Yeah, so I need to emphasize again that as a parent or a caregiver, there is a great role you have to play in letting this child understand that yes, you have this gifting and this talent, but that shouldn't overshadow your social life, your personal life, and even family life.
There you go.
Yes.
All right, let's take a short break and then we continue our conversation when we come back. In our episode today, we are talking about child stars, how you can raise your child who's a child star to be the best that they can be while still giving them a semblance of a normal life. In studio today, we are joined by Mr. Regan, a psychologist. We are going to take a short break. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to this episode of Today's Parent, where we are having a conversation with psychologist Regan, who's sharing with us tips, especially if you're raising a child star. Regan,
Yes.
we have a question that has come in from Abigail. I'll read the question for you so you can just take a minute to absorb it. Abigail's question is, my child has been on adverts since they were young. She has role models that I don't necessarily like, and I wouldn't want them to shape her future or determine what kind of person that she's going to become. So what Abigail is asking, what can she do in such a situation?
Yeah, a very poignant question from Abigail, and it could be also speaking for other parents as well.
True.
And so what Abigail needs to do as a parent, and maybe also other parents watching, they have to be, first of all, a friend to their child. Because you cannot be only a parent. Because as kids grow up, what they need to identify with is a friend first. Because the moment they bond with you as a friend, they can trust you to even tell you stuff that, are affecting them as children.
Right.
And so in this case, Abigail and other parents alike need to understand that the level of parenting, or the style of parenting you choose for your child will determine what kind of celebrities or idols they like. And so that takes me to the 4 forms of parenting. We have the first one, which is the authoritarian, which is very strict. It's, I've said this, and you're going to do it. It's either my way or the highway. A very, very bad style of parenting, so to speak, and it can have detrimental effects. The other one is authoritative.
Authoritative, okay.
Where you practice some level of diplomacy, but also some level of autocracy.
So that's a good balance?
Yes, that's a good balance.
Okay.
And it's very, very healthy kind of parenting style. Then the other one is the permissive style of parenting, where you let your child just do anything. Again, very, very weird, very, very bad kind of parenting.
Whatever.
Because you can imagine
Do
your child
whatever.
want to do something like just go ahead and do it. then if they fail or if they falter, whom will they blame?
I've never met such a parent, by the way.
They are there.
Interesting.
Have you gone to malls and seen kids throwing tantrums because they want something? And because the mother just wants to get rid of the scenario, give the child whatever they want.
Permissive.
Permissive.
There you
and
go.
Then the other one is the passive, which is again very bad. That means the parent is rarely there for the child emotionally, physically. They're just detached. Sort of like absentee parents.
That is sad.
They're never there.
That's sad.
So with regard to this question, the viewer who sent the question needs to understand what is my style and how then do I implicate this on my child, because she's concerned that the child is watching idols or celebrities that has a parent she doesn't like or approve of.
Right.
So there needs to be a balance between Abigail and a child, so that they need to know or rather understand that up to this extent this is okay. Up to this extent this is wrong. And why is it wrong? Because for a kid to understand that this is wrong, they need to be explained to, just like an adult. You see, as parents or caregivers, we assume that a child knows that once I've said this, they're not going to do it. But explain to them. Tell them these are the effects so that it sticks.
You know, this looks like it's a very popular topic among parents. We have another question on our 22999 number. And Marceline's question is, and she speaks for a lot of parents, when is it a good point for me to start a YouTube channel for my child?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier when we began the show about the different stages of development, the psychosocial stages by Erik Erikson, ideally from 3 years to 12 years, because that's where a lot of development takes place.
Right.
That's when the kids want to show that they can have some initiative. That's when they want to show that they can be industrious or just be self-sufficient. So about that age, if at all they are also being honest with you, open with you, it's okay. And this YouTube page that you're opening for them, is it being managed by a professional?
Right.
If you don't have a professional managing it, then can you as a parent take the initiative, therefore, to manage it for them? So that they also don't go overboard or even get cyberbullied for varied reasons.
You know?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, which brings me to the question, Regan. In a space where a child has become, you know, has gone into this space where they're validated by how popular they are, how liked they are, how do you teach self-worth to a child star? How do you teach them that they're worthy regardless of whether they're famous or not?
Yeah, so that means, again, a huge chunk of involvement, parental involvement needs to be there. Because in as much as we'll accept that the kid has this gifting or ability, it therefore means that the parent has to, like any other parent in the world, take this child through the normal process of growth. And that means if it needs for them to go to school like any other kid, let them go to school. Let them learn. If they've done a mistake, reprimand them. Don't call on it because they are quote unquote a celebrity or a star. If it means you're going for worship, let them go. Don't excuse them from doing certain things because they have achieved this status. And see that, in effect, inculcates the level of responsibility also in them, so that they know that regardless of my status as a child star, I can still live life as a normal kid and enjoy the good things of life despite my status.
Yeah. How do you strike a balance as a parent that then you have one child star in the family and you have these other 3 children who, for lack of no better word, are ordinary? How do you balance as a parent to make all these children, the 4 of them, feel special? How do you do that?
I would say let them interact together as one. Let the other ones who are quote unquote are ordinary interact with this other one more easily, more frequently. Let them not see their brother or sister as a star. Let them see them just like a brother or a sister. And in fact, they will start learning from their brother or sister who is quote unquote a star. And this star kid, quote unquote again, will equally learn from the other siblings who are quote unquote ordinary. So that there's that margins of different traits, different personalities, and different, points of view. Yes.
Yeah. So Ben sends us a question, of course, on our 22999 number, and his question is, the money coming in from our child star, is it our money or his money?
So the question would be, how old is the kid?
The kid is under 10.
Under 10 years.
Under 10, the boy is 7 years old.
Yeah, so from the onset, it's good to make the child understand that from your stardom or from what you're doing, we are getting some money. So it is through your help or through initiative that you're getting this money. So don't hide it from them. Be honest with them that
there's money coming in.
But tell them that I'm going to manage it for you. Because again, they are only kids.
Yes.
You ask a 9-year-old, you have this X amount of money, what you're going to do for it? probably they're gonna go spoil themselves.
Yeah,
candy,
creeps and
whatnot.
more creeps and
exactly.
yeah, PlayStation.
But tell them this is the money we've got from what you've done very well, and we're gonna put it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 use for your benefit and for our benefit as a family,
That's
so that
nice.
they know from a young age that yes, there's money coming in, but it's going towards this and this what they cost. Who knows? Some of them will even tell you or surprise you and tell you that from the money I get, I want to be supporting these children's home, or I want to be doing for this and that initiative. That's okay because they know that what they are doing is not for themselves alone, but also for other persons in the
That's
society.
good.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, sharing with us, Regan, as a psychologist, point by point, how then, as parents, can we raise a child star effectively? How can we do that?
Yeah, so first things first, appreciate the gift, as I earlier mentioned again.
Yeah, so appreciate the gift
that is there.
Nurture the gift.
Nurture the
I
gift.
remember that point very well.
Don't downsize it. Don't sugarcoat it. Nurture it. Accept it as it is. Okay. Then secondly, walk with this child. What do I mean when I say walk with this child? That means that there are moments that this child will feel low emotionally
Right.
because of their status. The moments that they feel that today I don't want to go and perform. I don't want to go and do my music. I don't want to go and play my football.
Yeah.
Walk with them. Be there emotionally for them every time. Okay.
So don't force them.
Don't force them.
Don't force
but
them.
walk with them because the moments that they'll feel like I don't want to do it today. Don't load it on them. Okay. Then number 3, as a parent, don't start comparing them with other kids who are either stars or are quote unquote ordinary kids. Because the moment you do that, you are injuring the ego of this child.
Right.
Why? Because they'll be struggling to match up to the expectation of that other kid who's a star or just the other ordinary kid.
Okay.
So don't ever compare your kid to that you must be like this kid who is this
So
brilliant.
never compare.
Never compare them. Applaud them for what they
what
are doing and what they have.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also in the same vein, as a parent, don't be so much engrossed in what they are doing, so that you forget what you're doing, your role as a parent, and start being engrossed in what they're doing.
You know, Regan, that is where I was going to, because then as a parent, you are so engrossed in raising your child star and taking them from one event to the next. How do you manage yourself as a parent so that you don't go so far in? How do you manage yourself? What tips can you share with our parents?
I would say one word: practice some level of restraint.
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 Very hard as a parent.
Because this kid at some moment wants to be with their friends, but it's time for practice. We gotta go. It's time for this. We gotta go. The kid will feel overwhelmed and bored because of your presence over and over. Being there every time.
And your pressure.
Exactly. So know when to accompany them. Know when to show restraints, because the kids, just like adults, have emotions. They have feelings.
But how do you do that? How do you do that?
I'd say it has to be very deliberate. You have to be very deliberate about it. Because the moment you just want to be there all the time, the kid will feel even embarrassed at times that you are there. Sometimes it's good to let the kid do what they want to do, of course with you watching from afar, so that they also feel that they have a sense of responsibility and achievement as kids.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. How about just navigating social media? Because then your child is on YouTube, like we said, your child is on Instagram. You've set up a page for them, and they're always asking you, Mommy, Daddy, how many likes do I have? How come people are not liking my photo like the other one? In that space of, being a child star with advent of technology and all this, social media presence is so big, but the effects of social media on children,
Yes.
I'm sure is another bigger discussion that we can have.
Very true.
But how can you protect your child star in that social media space? How can you do that?
Yeah, so from the get-go, once you realize that this child has this special gifting or ability or talent, it's good to understand why are they doing it. Okay? Because once you understand the why, it becomes much more less clear.
Okay.
Because some parents, again, could be pushing their kids to do it for the money, which is totally the wrong reason. But ideally, it should be a cause that they're doing that is above and beyond them. Case in point, like the Michael Jackson story. He started when he was way young. But you see, for him, if it was always about the money, who knows? He wouldn't have reached the status that he got to.
Who knows?
Yeah. So, as a parent, again, it's very, very important to know why. Such that when now they come to you and tell you, Mom, how many followers, how many likes?
Yeah.
That won't bother them so much because they know that I'm doing this not for myself, but for the good of the larger community of the larger society.
There you go.
It only gets worrying if they start asking you how many likes, how many followers, because they are anxious. Why? They want to please their parents or the larger society. And that happens in effect if at all the cause is wrong, why they're doing it is wrong.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
so even in the terms of management, if it means getting a social media page handler, get one.
Like
If
a
you can't-
social media manager.
Exactly. If you can't get one yourself, then be the one. Stand in the gap.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regan, as we wind up, your final pointers to our parents who possibly are raising a child star. What tips can you share with them?
Yeah, so I'd say again, raising up a child is a collective affair. It's not the initiative of only one parent or both parents. It means, therefore, that even schools need to be a part of this discussion. It means, therefore, that social spaces, be it the churches, the mosques, the shrines and whatnot, all of these need to be integrated so that the child feels some level of buffing in terms of growing as a star, or even as a celebrity.
Right.
So when there's that support from all these angles, the child feels that, by the way, I feel that I'm being supported from all corners. And that means that if they are wrong, they have multiple sources of support that they can run or they can jump to. And you see, as Maya Angelou, puts it clearly, one of her quotes, which one of my favorites, says that people will forget what you did, people will forget what you said, people will forget, what you did for them.
Yeah.
But people will never ever forget how you made them feel.
Absolutely.
So even with this child star that you're bringing up, how do you make them feel as a parent, as a caregiver, as a teacher, as somebody in the social space that is of influence? How do you make them feel?
That's very deep.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to share.
Thank you.
And on that somber note, we're going to end today's episode. We thank you for your time
Thank you so much.
and the insights you've come to share. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Today's Parent, where we focused on sharing with you advice on raising a child star. In studio today, we have psychologist Regan, who will share some tips with us. And as you said, all our children are stars, but of course we have children who have that extra factor. Let's see how we can raise them to be just normal kids, give them a normal upbringing, but of course with that X factor that they have, see how we can nurture them to be the best that they can be, giving them proper boundaries for them to thrive. I have been your host, Christine Casina, and this has been Today's Parent. If you're looking for kids furniture, please make sure you come over to Little Cribs, the home of fun, exciting, durable, and beautiful kids furniture. For parenting resources, go to www.supermamas.co.ke. Thank you so much for watching.